With the climate crisis and pollution posing the greatest risk to marine life and biodiversity, transplantation could be the key to survival of certain species.
Water is life, but it's also about power, politics, and survival. From the fish on our plates to the ships that carry 90% of global trade, water touches everything. Yet oceans and seas are about to raise the white flag. Rising temperatures are changing currents, threatening species, and collapsing ecosystems. Entire food chains hang in the balance. The oceans give us oxygen, absorb our carbon, and regulate our climate. Lose them, and I'm afraid we lose the future. The Marmara Sea connects continents. Another way of putting it, it's Istanbul's liquid heartbeat, linking the Black Sea to the Aegean via the Istanbul and Çanakkale Straits. Every day, thousands of vessels pass through these narrow corridors, fueling trade and feeding economies. But that lifeblood has come at a cost. Pollution from ships, cities, and industries has turned the Marmara into the most threatened marine environments in the region. The sea that gave so much is now at a turning point. We talk about water like it is eternal, always there, always flowing. But the truth here in the Marmara hits a little different. The sea, once teeming with life, is now choked with pollution. Plastic, sewage, even chemical runoff. And it's not just the marine life that's affected. It's like a slow-motion disaster that affects everything, from shipping to fishing to public health, even the air that we breathe. But there are people who are trying to turn the tide. But where there's damage, there's also opportunities to create positive disruption. Tech startups across Türkiye are diving into marine problems. At the Pendik Technopark, one young team is challenging how we think about ship maintenance. They're called remora. Yes, derived from that suckerfish that attaches itself to larger marine animals. Their founder, Enes Sönmez, believes robotic hull cleaners could be part of the solution to cleaning our seas without further harming them.
Türkiye'nin aslında denizcilik sektörüne...
Technological developments in Turkey's marine sectors are way behind those of other sectors. Mainly, while the air system sector uses technologies that allow data transfer from a 10-kilometer distance, the marine sector in Turkey was untouched. As young entrepreneurs, that's what drew our attention and motivated us. We first started at Technofest in 2020, and we won awards both in Turkey and abroad. That's how Remora was born.
You mentioned that there was a lack of technology within the Turkish maritime sector, but when you look at it as a whole, the country has a rich and a vast maritime legacy. Did this help in any way?
Aslında Türkiye 1958 yılında uluslararası...
Turkey joined the International Maritime Organization in 1958. Hence, Turkey is bound by its laws. Laws prohibit hull cleaning with divers. So we thought if divers can no longer perform hull cleaning, we should create robotic technology to help divers or replace divers. So thanks to that law, we came up with this solution.
Doğma noktası özellikle Avrupa tarafında burası oluyor.
Help me better understand how your robotic system works and how it's different from traditional models in the sector.
Eskide kullanılan yöntemlerde iki farklı yöntemden bahsedebilirim.
There used to be two ways for hull cleaning. The first has been used for 1400 years, and that is done with divers. They dive and they clean the hull with scrapers. This both harms the boat's surface and the sea, because the scraped debris flows into the sea. That's what the International Maritime Organization prohibits. The second way for hull cleaning is dry docking. But that's very expensive. So if boat owners use this way, they suffer a lot economically. They basically end up spending more money on maintenance than they spent buying the boat itself. That is why we decided to provide boat owners with robotic systems. With half-autonomous systems, we achieve cleaning at a cheaper price.
Ben her sene bakım için para veriyorum diyor.
When you look at hull cleaning, it's often analyzed under the context of efficiency, but there's also another leg to all this, and that is environmentalism. That's important.
Kesinlikle bu çok aslında
This is what the International Maritime Organization supports. The impact we leave on the environment is more important than anything. At Marmara, we focus on ecology and how to support ecological balance underwater. We amended our design according to the International Maritime Organization's laws. For example, if a boat comes from Dubai to Istanbul, it is prohibited from performing hull cleaning underwater, because if it's done, the ecological surface like barnacles and seaweed on the boat will flow into the Marmara Sea. That will have a disastrous effect on marine life in the Marmara Sea. So having this law governing our seas accelerates the need for technologies like ours.
We head down to Pendik Marina, where Enes and his team are setting up a demo. The goal? Show how a robot can clean ship hulls more efficiently without scraping marine life into the sea or sending divers into polluted waters. The Marmara robot is connected to a control unit which draws power from either a pontoon supply or a portable generator. A 30-meter tether relays both commands and high-resolution video back to the operator. As it's gently lowered into the water, the robot uses a combination of suction and thrust to latch onto the hull. Once attached, it gets to work, cleaning barnacles and biofouling at a rate of 6 square meters per minute. These barnacles aren't just eyesores. They're symptoms of polluted waters and can reduce a ship's performance by up to 50%. Speed, fuel efficiency, even maneuverability all take a hit. But Marmara doesn't just blast the debris back into the water. It captures the waste in an internal filter, removing it safely once back on land. This is a prime example of machines replacing work previously done by hand. Simply put, Istanbul runs on water. From those iconic ferries to transport barges, water taxis, and private yachts, it's all part of the city's daily motion. But almost every vessel out there runs on fossil fuels. The noise, the emissions, the spills, it all adds up. Is there a cleaner way to move across the sea? And can water-based transport evolve beyond just function, perhaps toward sustainability? That's where water micromobility comes in. Compact, efficient, electric-powered crafts built for short distances. Yeah, you guessed it, ideal for city life on the coast. One Turkish startup is making waves in that space. It's called Sutek, and its founder, Ataberk Suekinci, is rethinking how we move on the water.
The beginning of the journey, we noticed that there were no micromobility solution on water. So we decided to create a smart, simple, but with autonomous feature combined a waterway micromobility solution and the scooter born.
You mentioned that this vessel is autonomous. Tell me more about the autonomous features of this.
Scooter is semi-autonomous model of our products. It's fuel electric and sustainable and autonomous featured boat. When nobody on inside of the boat, is fully autonomous. You can rent the scooter with your mobile phone with our application, and it can come fully autonomous to you. When someone on board in the vessel, it transforms the semi-autonomous mode, and people can use the scooter with just a simple joystick.
It's a simple joystick. I'm going to try it in just a bit, but scooter is just one of the models that your company is manufacturing. Tell me a little bit more about the other prototypes and vessels that you have.
We start the journey with scooter, but we do have several products as well right now, such as Squid. Squid is a versatile unmanned version of this product family. This is for human transportation, but for squid, we use it for multi-purpose. With one product, our customer can collect trash on water. Also, people can use it for delivery purpose. Also, remote surveillance as well. One product, versatile solutions.
I'm looking at this model right now. It resembles a sort of dual hull catamaran.
Yeah.
This would be ideal for, I'm thinking, maybe calmer bodies of water that are perhaps inland. Am I correct?
Yeah, 100%. We do have catamaran structure here due to we would like to use this first product in inland water, especially European waterways.
Okay.
We have got a special flat design here for the calm waters. We can reach 7 knots speed thanks to this special design. We do have 2 different motors behind the catamaran. We call it differential kinematic robots. So with autonomous feature, we use 2 different motors, and with joystick we combined it on our algorithm, and people can use it really easily. But the other thing that what will be happen if some bad things occur in the water? It can be wave or be in this situation. We have got remotely controlled center, and our captains can take control easily and worldwide actually. We do have 5G connectivity on our systems.
Drones that are popular amongst consumers, a lot of them have sort of obstacle avoidance features. When you're out in the water, you can't expect everybody to know whether there's shallow water, whether there's rocks. The smart system, the software actually alerts you of which bases you can't go into, right?
Yeah, we do have green and red zone, which we determined before the journey, and people cannot enter the red zones. We do have cameras on 2 hulls actually, and the perception system always on.
Okay, we're ready to test the scooter out on open water. This is more than a demo. It's a glimpse into what coastal commuting could look like. The scooter is electric powered, produces no emissions, and promises an alternative to traffic jams and oil spills.
Here we go. So I push the joystick forward and we've started to move.
Yeah.
This is pretty good. We're having a wave height of about maybe a half a meter, but it's pretty stable. I know that you want to test this prototype model in very extreme conditions. That's why one of the reasons why we're actually out in the waters here.
Yes.
But it's pretty stable.
Yes. Actually, we would like to find out our edge case scenarios of the vehicle and R&D. So we could develop the scenarios and efficient algorithms for the urban lakes.
This is actually I've had no training whatsoever, and it's pretty easy to pilot, to navigate. Let's actually make a turn. So to turn, I just turn to the side. Like this.
Yes. For right, the vehicle turns right.
What did you say the normal cruising speed of this is going to be 7 knots?
Yes, around 7 knots. We have a boundary of the map here. If the vehicle is trying to go outside of the boundary, we limit the speed.
And essentially, in the screen in front of me, I'll have all the vital information, whether it comes to the RPM of the 2 motors behind us, the situation in terms of the battery power.
Yes.
I realize that there's solar panels on top of the roof here.
Yes.
Is it simultaneously charging while it's working as well?
Yes, exactly. We have solar panels for us with 40 watts. We can use with batteries inside the vehicle. Also, we have other 2 motors have battery.
Okay.
We actually drive the vehicle with while the solar panel charging the system.
We've spent the day above the surface, but that's just part of the story. Below the waves, it's a whole different world, and one under siege. Years of neglect and mismanagement have left deep scars. Fish populations have dropped, ecosystems have collapsed, and yet something resilient is still growing.
Just behind the Princess's Island off the Asian coast of Istanbul lies a massive underwater world, 7 million square meters. And we're heading over there now to witness one of the boldest marine conservation projects in Türkiye. It's called the Coral Guardians Project, where divers, scientists, and a few dreamers are trying to bring back life to the Marmara Sea, one coral at a time.
Volkan Narcı is a diver, conservationist, and the force behind Türkiye's first coral transplantation project. For the past 5 years, he's been working to protect the fragile marine life around the Prince's Islands. What began as a personal mission has turned into a protected marine zone.
Growing up on the island and being constantly surrounded by the sea had a big impact on me. I spent all my childhood by the sea and I never lost that connection. When I left the private sector and came back to the island, I started seeing the Marmara Sea and the island with new adult eyes. Soon, I understood that it's not the sea that needs us, but we who need the sea. We have to learn to live in balance with it while trying to find the answer to how we can protect it and live together in harmony. I became deeply connected to Marmara. The Marmara Sea is my home. I spent my whole childhood here. All my memories, my life, my first loves, my excitement, even the first time I caught a fish, they're all here. So how could I not protect something I love so much? That's how it all started.
One of the centerpieces of why we're here today is the Coral Guardian Project. Tell me a little bit more about that and how it came to be.
This project started around the time I began diving. The Marmara Sea is unique because it has two layers, one from the Black Sea and one from the Mediterranean. So it hosts ecosystems from both seas. There's amazing marine life here, not just corals, but also sharks like great whites, seals, tunas, swordfish, and more. Plus, it's rich in cultural heritage with shipwrecks and such. Over time, the corals here started facing serious problems and became endangered. We had to make a decision. We did something new. We transplanted corals from one place to another. This was the first project like this in Türkiye and even in Europe. The coral species we work with only exist in the Mediterranean, and they live very deep there, so it's hard to study them. But here, they start at around 20 meters deep, so we can actually observe them, which is amazing. That's what makes this place so special. We took 450 coral roots from Sivri Island and brought them to Rabbit Island, where you see the project site by diving 30 meters deep. Then we planted them carefully one, by hand. We took care of them as if they were our kids. For the past 5 years, we've been monitoring them closely, tracking their health, diseases, and any deaths. Planting was just the first step. Keeping them alive and protecting them is the real challenge.
You said there's a lot to do. What could this place look like by the end of this decade, in 2030? What's the plan?
Last week, the UN Ocean Workshop took place in Nice, and we were there with a few civil society groups from Türkiye. The UN emphasized that from this year on, ocean ecosystems need full protection because the seas are our life support system. It's clear, 2 out of every 3 breaths we take come from the sea. Oceans play a huge role in absorbing carbon and nitrogen and regulating temperature. We don't live on a 40 to 50 degree hot land thanks to the seas. We owe the air we breathe to them. Our energy, food, and billions of people's livelihoods depend on the oceans. So I hope that by 2030 we will have learned to live in peace with the sea, understand it, and realize it's not just a view, but a whole ecosystem beneath us, with thousands of species sharing the same planet and atmosphere. Our goal is to increase protected areas in the Marmara Sea, reduce human pressure, and live in harmony with nature.
Time to suit up. The team gathers to pull on wetsuits and prep the other gear. BC jackets, weights, regulators, the works. Beneath the surface lies one of Türkiye's most precious marine experiments.
So the group is ready, and we're going to be diving down to about 30 meters below the surface of the water to check out the health of the corals.
Descend, and it's not an easy dive for me. Currents are strong, so we hold on to an anchored rope that leads us straight down to the sea floor. At 30 meters, we let go, and there it is. A living wall of coral, vibrant, delicate, swaying with the current like underwater wildflowers. These aren't foreign species, they are local, rescued from destruction and carefully replanted. And now they are thriving. Tiny fish dart in between branches. New baby colonies form like hope sprouting from rock. It's proof that nature can heal if we let it. We surface, peeling off masks, lungs filled with gratitude. One of the men who led the dive is Ulaşcan Kayataş, a marine biologist and diver who's been part of this project from the start. His knowledge of these waters runs deep.
It was an amazing dive. I never really thought I'd actually see coral in the Sea of Marmara. How did you find it? Are they healthy?
Mercanlar şu an son derece sağlıklı, müsilaj olmasına rağmen.
Right now, the corals are actually in very good health, despite the presence of mucilage. But the Marmara Sea is quite small, which makes it especially vulnerable to pollution. That's why we need to protect it even more diligently. If we want these beautiful marine creatures to survive, we have to take responsibility for our seas. And we must do it together, because we are all being sustained by the sea and we are all contributing to its pollution. This sea feeds every one of us, so the responsibility doesn't just fall on a single institution, local authority or ministry. We all owe something to this sea, and we all need to take initiative together.
What's going to be critical in terms of the coral's sustainability and longevity? Is it the pollution aside, but also maybe water temperature that's going to be key?
Kesinlikle.
Water temperature is extremely important. Due to global climate change, rising sea temperatures are becoming critical, especially for deep-sea species like the ones we are working with. Our corals are classified as deep-sea corals, found at around 30 meters. That also means they are sensitive to changes in water temperature. In recent years, the climate crisis has caused temperatures in Marmara's deeper waters to rise from 14 to 15 degrees Celsius to 16 to 17 degrees Celsius. This kind of increase leads to issues like mucilage and reduced oxygen levels in the water, which can cause large-scale die-offs of marine life. That's why the climate crisis and resulting shifts in sea temperature are so critical. We have temperature sensors installed 30 meters underwater to constantly monitor these changes. With that data, we can better understand how rising temperatures are affecting marine life in real time.
Takip yapıyoruz ki bu değişimi gözlemleyip canlılar üzerinde nasıl bir etki yarattığını ortaya çıkarmak açısından.
With the success that you're seeing with the coral project and such a large area in terms of the protected zone, do you feel that this could be sort of transferred onto different species, other shellfish, other endangered species that you can actually do in this protected area?
Kesinlikle. Bizim nihai amacımız da zaten oraya ulaşmak.
Absolutely, that's our ultimate goal. Protecting just one species isn't enough. Real conservation means protecting the entire ecosystem and its biodiversity. Here at the Rabbit Island Marine Protected Area, we're working to protect all marine life, from seabirds above the surface and to all species underwater. We're especially focused on species like Pinna nobilis, the giant Mediterranean mussel, whose population is under serious threat. While these mussels were affected by mucilage, they've still managed to survive. Thankfully, the disease that devastated them in the Mediterranean hasn't reached them here yet. We aim to protect them, along with the sea cucumbers, mussels, oysters, lobsters, and many others.
The corals are coming back, but it's not automatic. It's the result of years of research, passion, and protection. It's one thing to plant corals, it's another to keep them alive. From ghost nets to pollution, they face daily threats. But down there, hope is growing, one colony at a time.
From toxic waters to vanishing ecosystems, our relationship with water is on the brink. But there is a fight back, from robotic hull cleaners that are scraping away the damage, to coral gardens that are reclaiming dead zones, to micromobility pioneers that are redefining the way that we move across the sea. This isn't just about innovation, it is a last stand, because the future of our relationship with water isn't just about convenience and comfort, it's also about survival, responsibility, and showing up before it's too late. Well, that's it for this edition of NexTech. I'm Ali Can Ayanlar, and we'll see you next time.